Civilization is about to become a space-faring. Man, I feel like I'm peddling some conspiracy theory when I talk about this stuff. That I'm some like crazy guy that like is just like, the moon landing is fake, guys. Like, look at all this evidence. Surely it can't be real. Like, we are genuinely going to become a space-faring civilization in guaranteed within my lifetime. I'm 21. But like, if I had to put a number on it, like less than 20 years, um, likely faster. That's me being like optimistic or like pessimistic. Um, I like around 9 months ago, um, or around then, I dropped out of school, um, out of college because I got I got 100% convinced, not convicted. I did have conviction, um, that the societal ramifications that would come from AI, that sounds cringe to say out loud, were all real. Like all of like the hype, all of it was real. I always believed it. Like, I was always optimistic about it. But like it took this is a bit before I dropped out, but in January of 2025, I saw I was trying to make a game, like or like a market simulation engine, and coding it. And at the time, the best model in the world. They just released reasoning. I had access to it. GPT-o1. Um, it one-shotted a 1,000 line piece of code. Um, Python, just a single long Python script that like got, it wasn't by today's standards. It sucks. But back then I was like, yeah, it's it's gonna happen. Up until then I always stayed up to date with everything, and I was like, um, I was optimistic and knew good things would come. But like I that was like my like I saw that, and I'm like the entire world's gonna change. Anyways, I was so like 9 months ago I made a YouTube video like similar to this where I was just yapping for a long time. Now I was like, AI agents are coming and coding's gonna be automated, and like, people are, there's gonna be huge like all the societal ramifications that come with like knowledge work being automated, eventually robotics, and like all that stuff. Like, I think all this is gonna happen. Um, I think that everyone who is shit talking AI, the mainstream discourse is so disconnected from what the tech is actually capable of. Um, there's this huge disconnect going on. At the time, I was unemployed, so I was just like a normal like I had like the mainstream like social media understanding, of like what average person thought about like AI and like technology, and they were like pessimistic about the world. And then, but I was also very tapped in with, and now I'm like, now I doubt like I now I moved to SF. So now I'm like truly in the bubble, inside of like the self-contained information bubble. But I like to think that due to my background, um, that I'm still connected with like what like how big of a disconnect exists. Um, it makes me really upset that the average person is pessimistic about like what'll happen in the next 10 years. I understand why they're pessimistic, and if I had the same knowledge that like that person did, the exact same knowledge, like, I could come to a similar, I mean, but like I can understand how you came to that conclusion. I don't like blame anyone for being pessimistic. It's just like the environment that you're in and like things that um but I do blame people for being less open minded about AI. Um, if you like, you know, I wasn't like super early or anything, like early 2025. Like there were a lot of people optimistic on AI, but I was optimistic that would happen like very very soon. Like uh, there was a time around a bit before and a bit after GPT-5 came out that people actually got bearish. They thought it was hype. They thought the like that it was we were genuine in a bubble. You know that like AI would be pretty good and increase human productivity, but it won't be like we're not entering a sci-fi world, which is what I am fully convinced now that like we're entering. Um, and I was so disappointed in the industry. Um, Man, I was like, what are you? You guys are researchers at labs building the future, and you think that we're slowing down, that we're not entering takeoff. Like, look at XYZ things. Like, look at these RL games. Look at like RL generalizing, like in like the scaling law that we see with like like I um I look at I'm like look at all these things, and you're like bearish, or you think it'll take way longer, and now we are ahead of most people's timelines, and records are broken every day on a bunch of different things. I don't even want to go like I think this is like I think most people who want to know about this stuff and care about this stuff already know about all of it. I'll I'll go over it. AI can invent novel things now. Terrence Tao verified that GPT is solving Erdos problems by itself. Claude has solved novel problems. All of coding, like the act, just coding in of itself, you know, all of that is automated. Software engineering isn't fully automated end to end, but coding is automated. Um, like as long as you can describe it well, AI can code it. And this is like I think just coding getting automated, like before no one thought that would happen even, and everyone was like, um, everyone's like, AI is a bubble and the capabilities aren't going to be as good as they say it is. Now the discourse is like AI, like the open AI and the financials around it is still like bubble like, but and there's going to be some like societal changes. Like now people agree that there will be changes, but then like I'm like, how does your ambition stop there? How could you see that in 1 year we went from like models struggling to write like to do any agentic activity to now if I have a computer and I put Claude or GPT in that computer with full access to everything, it is more competent than almost any human on earth. Like to like do things that it can like using a doing pure browser use, like look at an image, click on a button. I would like but like operating within a terminal using Linux, like it those capabilities are very difficult, and it takes a lot of theories about how AI progress works to hold true, to simplify it, for us to be there right now. And there is absolutely no reason why that's not going to continue. Um, Now we can get into like kind of prediction time. I've had like my little victory parade enough. Um, for predictions, so right now the big thing in RL is coding environments. Like I don't know about like right now, but I know like a month or two ago, um, if you were able to make Amazon end to end, like I don't mean just like make like the website, but like like all the back end, all the front end, like all the infra related to it. Like if you're actually able to recreate a programmatic environment that's Amazon, you can sell that for millions of dollars because um, AI labs could train on that. They could do RL on the entire thing, and as long as it's verifiable, the models will get better using it. Um, so um, that's still a thing. Like people are still buying coding environment, but now they're doing math, science, like all the sciences, like everything. That's what's happening right now. Um, I'm like I'm actually I would say I'm sure on this. Um, the next big thing that will be like besides like just compute scaling, like let's Nvidia release Blackwell, Nvidia release Rubin and scale just like the size of the models and keep RL. And if RL like if the amount of RL we did relative to like the model size stayed similar, like we would still just get gains from scaling laws. But like in terms of like RL environments, what like specific capabilities do we want to generalize on? Um, I think the end game for RL as RL scaling as the RL scaling law continues, and in my opinion, um, from everything that I've seen in research personally and in my work and who everyone I've talked to, not that like I think it's actually a generally held opinion, but I believe that RL generalizes, in that if you train a model on a bunch of different specific problem sets and verify it, it depends. Like the RL has to be good, but that the the problem solving skills that the model learns from doing RL like that generalizes to things beyond the problem set itself. Um, and I think this is extensible beyond domains. I think um, like there is like a yeah. I mean, okay, I don't want to go like there's people who can explain RL better than me. But I think this stuff generalizes. I think the next big thing will become AIs will start playing very advanced, complex games. So this means like, you know, Claude is running. I mean, Claude's running like a business company. In like a simulate, not like an actual, like in a simulated environment, it's running a business company where all of the employees in the company are other Claudes, um, and they're competing against another company. It's like GPTs, um, and they're like there's like millions of other companies like that all are learning and autonomously self-RLing their organizational structure to compete with each other. I think that'll happen in like a civilization scale, so, but like those simulated environments will be like that is like the self-feedback iteration loop, like games and simulated environments for agents to um, uh, iterate themselves on. That will be like the big thing. um, and I think it's extensible to not just like competitive verifiable environments, like kind of like a business, but like it's like creative things as well. Like here, like model like a model going and creating, um, like competing in like this sorry isn't a good example, but like competing in like artwork competitions with like cheap, yeah, like I don't but like all um like the point I'm making is that like right now we're training on just capabilities. Can we get Claude or GPT to solve this specific problem? And then it's become okay, like same as in humans, like um if you have engineer X and engineer Y with and you know that they have similar like technical capabilities, you'll go a layer above and like, okay, what are their traits? Like what are they, like who are they as a person to like leverage those technical abilities that they have? That is what we will be training models on. Like right now we're like we're done like the engineering, like what researchers want, and engineers want for um I actually think coding is already solved, and software engineering is just like a harness environment issue, tooling issue that isn't actually that related to the model itself. Um, anyways, I'm actually yeah. Anyways, like I think if all model froze today, we would still get insane progress. Just from trying to diffuse what we currently have into like accessible mediums to people. Um, anyways, the point that I was originally on was that like right now we're training for capabilities. Soon we will start training for like after capabilities is solved, and it is like very solvable. Everything so far has proven that we will start training for traits. And the best way in traits are can't be done in an isolated space with the environment by itself. So we will create like the technical term I'm assuming will be just environments or simulated environments or evals or whatever, but like it will just be games. Like that is like it's verifiable, it's headless, it can iterate on itself way faster than real, because if I want to get Claude to run a government, I have to actually get Claude, to like go run for like Congress or whatever, like but if I can simulate Claude running government and simulate Claude having to collaborate with other AIs or humans, to get policy through and all the ramifications of like that is the thing. Simulations and iteratively expanding the complexity of the simulation, and all the traits that go into doing any kind of game or any kind of environment well. That is what we will be. I don't know if even RL is, but like that like whatever improvement. I don't know if it's like self RL or like or we have training data on that. Like maybe I actually don't think training data is like the right approach to those things. Maybe we'll see. But like though that is like that will be like the thing that like I think closes the loop. I mean, there's 100%. I mean, I think we'll still do that anyways. There's a chance though that like just with like kind of we are all like most capabilities in like single like task capabilities, and then we just do like a bunch of like really good pre-training, um, and like that in itself just like takes care of like, I mean, no, actually I disagree. I disagree. I'm just like I disagree with myself um, because that assumes that like capabilities are the bottleneck when it isn't the bottleneck. When you train for trace, you train a model to be collaborative, to work with other people, to like to do more than just finishing a specific task. That is what like will support all the harness and tooling environments that we don't currently have, and will make models really extensible to that. Anyways, that's like my kind of like technical like industry prediction. Um, now we can. I think let's go to like um I fully believe that like all of this AI robot, I mean, it's like all technological progress in general, but just like AI is like just kind of it's going to be like the big catalyst of everything. Um, will become like spacefaring and like like sci-fi dystopian. It doesn't have to be dystopian, but like I think it'll be some crazy scenario. I think the road to get there, like there will be like crazy things that happen, but like objective, I used to think that like people say every year that the world's getting crazier, or like 10 years ago the world was so much better, and I'm like, yeah, that's just like selection bias, or like nostalgia bias, like the world's always been crazy, there's always lots of shit going on. Objectively now though, I fully believe that the world now it's like crazier than whatever it was before. um but like I have like this framework of like the world that's like kind of it's physics based in a way, but not really. Where I just think everyone has incentives, and things typically like to deviate to like some norm or some like average. Where like you know if if let's say there's three people living in a house, and one person is and they all like each other. And one person is very adventurous, one person is very introverted and not adventurous, and one person's neutral. The average of those three people comes to neutral, and like I think the activities and balance of what they do will be neutral. Let's ignore all of psychology for a sec, but like that's kind of like I think things deviate to the norm. But let's say the middle guy becomes crazy, the neutral one. He also is adventurous now. They will start. All three of them will start doing a lot more adventurous thing, or the introverted guy will have to like move out. My point being that like if you take a very simple concept like that, the extrapolation I put on it is that like things that deviate more from like what the societal norms or incentives are supposed to, like if there are incentives or structures for you to, let's say, go through schooling, get a stable job, whatever, and you deviate from that, it won't mean it does not mean you will be super successful, but it does mean there will be an outcome that is very deviated from the norm, and it on a global humanity wide scale, if everyone deviates from the norm itself also deviates, and like things change very quickly. If let's say the average person goes to school, I don't even know if that's true. Let's say the average person finishes school, like post secondary, like college, and now everyone stops going to school randomly. Everyone's deviated from the norm, and like now education's broken, and like there's a bunch of a bunch of things happen. Like if you take that concept, extremely rapid technological progress, extremely rapid economic inequality, extremely high political polarity. All those things are things that are very deviated from a norm, or like like there's like spike. Everything is spiky. You could argue that like politics is it's like polar, so like it averages. I just think that like like because it's so wide from the norm, like the fuck um the magnitude of, oh yeah, the magnitude of change from the norm is so big, it causes stress on the system, and it causes change. Basically, I'm saying that like, if the more crazy shit is happening, the more, it doesn't mean it's going to be good change, but the more change is guaranteed to happen. And I'm saying, look at the patterns of where technology is going. There's a lot of change coming, um, and the rate of magnitude increase is also increasing. It's like there's more changes happening, but the changes are bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and I'm saying that like, all this to say that I think that like, it is inevitable that our current world, our current environment will create very large scale change, like more than humanity has ever seen before in a very very short period of time. Like absurd, like, you know, right now is right now we are in a crazy time, and most people like humanity, like the so creating AI is like genuinely like the most like it's truly like a such a complex thing that people don't even understand. Like, to create the AI that we have right now, it takes, like, we are essentially turning sand into like a machine, a autonomous uh, uh, agent, like that is um, like an alien intelligence basically, that like can do stuff for you. We turn sand into that. Um, you're telling me that like the civilization that turned sand into that is going to lose to like, this is more like narrative talk. I think this is more like me extrapolating from kind of just like intuition, like my optimism. But like, I, you're telling me that the civilization that turned sand into talking computers is going to lose because of economic inequality or political turmoil or geopolitical turmoil. Not that I believe those aren't all issues and important things, but like, I think the magnitude of how bad those issues are pales in comparison to the technological progress, and like how deviated from the norm and stressed on the system like that will create. That will like what, okay, I'm just like kind of thinking about like what, like how do I word this better? Um, like TLDR, I just think most people are like kind of approaching this the wrong way. I do think there will be issues. You know, I I I I'm not saying there won't be issues along the way, but like, if there was ever a time in human history to be optimistic, it is right now. We are in, truly, and I mean this, like, you know, I like, if you look at the way that I was the unemployed guy from Bumville 9 months ago, 10 months ago, when I like, and I've done a lot of, I've done things in my life from Bumville, from nothing, near nothing, near, like, I have a loving family. That's the thing that but besides that, I come from nothing, and I, yeah, like, and I was able to bet my life on this outlook, and reap good things from it. I And back then I was like, I truly, I didn't like have much incentive to like glaze AI and say all the things that I've been saying. Like right now, you know, right now I work in the industry. I'm in SF. Like, you know, like, to the average person, I've like lost my like the reason I would have you know, any reputable, like, oh, I can trust this guy. He's totally not like just in the industry, and like he's just like, yeah, all the reason, you know, I now I don't hold as much credibility to the average person. But I do hope the takeaway that is like, there has never been a time to be more optimistic about the outlook of civilization and what's going to happen to the world. Um, it's going to happen in a very short amount of time. where one day you won't realize it, but like there will be just robots walking around, and one day you're a friend that you might know will hop in a spaceship to I don't know fucking like the moon or Mars, and they'll like send you photos that you'll like look at it like you'll like look at in like your glasses that like have like VR AR on it, and like and you can go into the photo, and then and then maybe it gets cheap enough, and they're like, man, I'll go for a tour ride around the moon, and like I this sounds sci-fi, but like there is not a single thing that's happening that wouldn't get us there. Like humanity has never put more resources into like like for all the bad things that come of let's say like capitalism. The great thing is market incentives are essentially Darwinism, and the market has realized like we have never put more resources as a civilization into any one thing that like isn't like our food or shelter or whatever, into any like AI spending, like companies are spending $1 trillion a year, as much as the U.S. Military budget, except a lot more efficient, um, on just and like a third of it goes to just like memory and semiconductors too, which is um, that 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 coupled with like the evidence and capability and the patterns of how things have gotten better over the past few years in capability suggests to me that the pattern won't stop. I think I've repeated this point like multiple times throughout this video. I just like keep coming back to it. Um, I think the parts that are to watch for in the short term is just people are worried about. It's actually I'm not actually too worried about this. So people like are really worried about like job loss that's gonna come of AI. I don't think it'll actually be. I actually don't think it'll be like bad at all. I think there might be some period where like people are unemployed and governments might will have to adjust their entire like structure around the economy and how we go about it. But like, I think after that period, it'll actually be much significantly better. Um, I see AI coming online as pretty much like think about okay, if AI exists, um, is like I think the best way, the easiest term is like think of AI as just like you know infinite humans. People like AI is just intelligence, or like let's just for like the average like let's just say I think colloquially like the best way to say that AI is more humans. Um, if there were infinite humans and you could throw infinite resources at any one thing, you are essentially just like the average billionaire, right? Like you just uh, whatever you want to do except for maybe have a nicer yacht than Jeff Bezos, which in the future might be like, man, I say this and I'm not like, oh, I'm crazy for saying this, but like I know that like someone watching this would be like, oh, this guy might be crazy, or like he isn't considering this factor, or like if AI is like goes really wrong and like rogue or whatever. Like um, um, you know, instead of a billionaire wanting to have a nicer yacht than Jeff Bezos and not having it, it might be like, you know, the planet that you rule over is like not as I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. Anyways, I don't want to like lose the little credibility that I do have by talking doing too far into. Um, my point was that like in terms of like the resources that the average person would have at their disposal, it is essentially like it is as if like you are a billionaire in principle. I don't think I mean I don't whatever like um and what is a bit like most billionaires aren't retired, right? Like I mean they have the option to be retired. Like if you're a human, like you can be retired if you want to, but that's not like what humans seek. you can still seek purpose and do things. You just aren't bottlenecked by having to work for your survival or having to stress about the minutia of daily life and meeting bills and meeting the needs of of your loved ones. Like that won't be a those things won't be a concern. Like you won't be resource constrained anymore. So what's happened in the engineering industry, coding at least right now, is that like all AI automating coding has done is increased demand for like really good engineers a lot more because now like um now that you can just make a lot like the industry's like software has always been very lucrative from like to like as a business model like you just make a lot more um so like it unlocks more like if it's like the power law where like if you have a million apps being in the app store 1% of them might be good, but if you have 100 million apps in the app store, uh, 1% of them will still be really good, but now you have now the new 1% is a lot large is 100 times larger than the old 1%. Like it just um, anyways, point being that like so I'm just tracing my trail of thoughts. I don't have notes out or anything. I've just been yapping. Um, Maybe I should have notes. I have like four like job point things. They're just like what's happening right now, where it will lead, implications, and the only specific idea was make sure mention outsized pressure on systems and how it like is about whatever. I'm retarded. I didn't say that word. I said I restarted like my train of thought. Um, oh yeah, billionaire. Okay. Anyways, like what's happening in AI coding right now is that the engineers that were previously mediocre engineers or subpar engineers, like software engineers, or just anyone that works with code a lot, they are they are worse off. It's harder for them to get a job. It's harder for them to get into the industry. The ones that are on the higher end of the distribution and like the really really good ones are all amplified by AI coding because they're like the things that the very best software engineers before were bottlenecked by wasn't just like it wasn't you know the quality of their code. It was just like the ability to express their like system design thinking that made them really good software engineers. So like now there's able to like all the traits that made them a powerful software engineer previously before AI coding was like solved now gets amplified by AI coding, and everyone that's worse gets like if you think of it as a tool, not that I think AI will be, but if you think like the entire frame, a tool just amplifies whatever is already there. Like if someone's it like power corrupts, most people inherently just have bad character, and if you gave them infinite power and money, they would just the bad character would just get amplified by the infinite money and power. It's actually not that I think power corrupts. It's their bad character was never tested enough and like given enough power to really be outsized. Anyways, same thing with AI, where like it will be an amplifier, but it's already there. The same people, for the most part, there are genuinely people that like are bottlenecked by their circumstances and like would benefit a lot. I mean, I'm a great example of that. But and then using that to like leverage themselves. Anyways, um, a like the same people that are trying to build, that like drop down, like I want to build the best company, they will do that regardless if they have and they will just compete in like a different arena for social status or like something like like human nature doesn't change, just what gets amplified will change. Like you won't be worried, like your character won't be reduced to worrying about your daily bills. It'll be outsized or just some other like domain. um like that's kind of just where I think that stuff leads to. um I don't like I There is no reason why I said this so many times. It's just like the only reason I keep saying is like I'll say something crazy and I'm like, oh, there's no way the person watching this believes me, and then I'm like, and then I just want to reiterate that like I think this is gonna happen. Anyways, um, assuming you made it this far, I what's a good like takeaway? Um, I think in your daily life, the main thing is that like everything that makes you human will only be more amplified. Um, you should be optimistic about the future. Um, the things that you should focus on in life will not change. Um, like most people want love, they want, their base needs cared for, they want to explore their interest. Um, you will be able to just do those things more. Um, it's just about like how much like people say they want to like people say they want to explore their interests, but how much do they really want to explore their interests? Like are they willing to like actually or do they or are they just not really? Anyways, I don't want I have a whole thing on like I think the distribution of human traits doesn't really change. I think it'll just, like I said, it'll just get amplified. um yeah, that's my takeaway. I hope the 30 hopefully we break 33 views. I actually don't like there's a part of me that I'm like, oh, if like people found my secret aura farming channel where everyone sees me like big predictions and like talk crazy, that'd be like cool. But the other parts, like I mainly make these because like I want to just look back in like 10 years and be like, damn, like I really was just having the time of my life. I really did just like brute force my way through everything that I've ever wanted in life and like gone crazy and obsessed over it and like acted on conviction. Like I just want to be proud of myself when I look back. Um, I still don't. I don't think I'm doing enough right now to be proud of myself. But like, hopefully, when I eventually do enough, like with these with videos like this and all the and any other outcomes that happen from my work in life, I just look back and hope I'm proud. This is kind of my takeaway, but like if my contribution to humanity is that I just in some minuscule way can help us accelerate to better outcomes for our civilization, which if it's increasing AI, if it's when I was little, when I was like 10, I like studied everything about astronomy and got super into physics and all that stuff. If I if I'm X amount of years, I don't fucking know. I'm like helping coordinate like helping agents coordinate like astro mining or whatever. Like what like if in any I actually don't like. I think it'll be very cool. I actually don't think like if I actually have value at like if it actually helps accelerate. I think at that point my help might not be needed. But like I think right now for the next like year or two, like if I can just know that in some way I helped, and like because of that, like others get to flourish, or like humans born afterwards don't have to worry about their bills or their loved ones health, or like basic things that, not that like obviously like death gives life meaning, but like it things that are more uh environmental, um like circumstances that one's born into, their access to education and basic all those things. If I can know that I just played some very very small part in helping significantly materially improve all of those and lead us to all the sci-fi cool scenarios, like I would be very satisfied. And I would hope that